Let's see how many of you can. And now I'm good. Sorry, guys. It's a technical thing and has to do with planning the preliminary. And then when you go on, it doesn't seem to catch up to it. Who knows? Seriously, who knows? Who knows whatever this is? Welcome aboard. Thank you guys for coming over and seeing me here. You guys are going to see me pop up all over your place again. This is where you guys are going to show up. Yeah. Warrior Widow, thanks for showing up. It's one of those things that when I haven't quite figured it out, but it is literally the reason why I'm demoing 2 new platforms. So take that, StreamYard. Yeah, it seems much better. And it's just, it seems like this is a fixable thing on their end of it. But, we're not going to take it anymore. Hi, Cynthia. Hi, Anessa. Michelle, good to see you. Melissa, thanks so much for being a contributor. Phoenix, we're seeing you here. Very rainy Newfoundland. Yeah, it's better, but it's not great, is it? Hi again. Hey, Deb, how are you? I can't figure out this internet connection. I also have, I'm going to be switching providers here too, because I'm not okay with this. I'm not okay with the idea that, this can kind of come and go and all that other good stuff. Thanks so much, guys, for having patience here tonight, as we seem to have all the time. Deb, good to see you. Barb, how are you? PA, Stacy, Patricia, good to see you as well. Jen over there in Buffalo, look at you go. Is it snowing there yet? Cece, good to see you. Love the butterfly. So we've got a lot. Listen, this is how political I'm going to be tonight. Somebody needs to show up. Somebody needs to stand up, and somebody needs to give a rat's ass. They are finding copious amounts of information. I've been watching. I watched a statistician out of the state of Pennsylvania that basically does this for a living, and was completely 100% basically going, the fact that you're not recounting this, that it's this close, is out of this world. Like, it's just the fact that in 2020, when there was virtually no evidence, although there were 180 challenges, and by the way, none of them stood up. There was only one situation, only one situation where somebody where they came to find that there was one situation where somebody needed to be corrected with their stance, and the Republicans were like, see, that's a win. That means that things were, kind of whatever. Well, what it was one of the pollsters were originally told to stand across the room. Oh, this is horrific. This is horrific here. Hey, Rita, how are you? I don't like this at all. By the way, guys, this is how they start to slow you down. Hold on. Trying to switch over. Good Lord. So we're having a good time here. This is nuts. Where's my camera, dude? Well, that's different. The universe is absolutely testing my patience. Okay, guys, I think we're back and I think we're good to go. In other news, I also have another computer on its way. Good Lord. Thanks so much for the patience on your end of things. I hope you guys are doing well. Yeah, it's funny. I think that I'm going to totally here's my prediction. I think that as we get close to something of demanding an answer, I think that we're going to find a lot of platforms are going to be nondescript, which is why I would love it. Yeah, it's definitely been a challenge there, Rita. I think it's going to be about, we're getting too close. So it's like, let's give them another distraction. Everything's a distraction. Everything's a distraction. Everything has been kind of thrown in our way to be like, oh, but look at this. I mean, they put a guy who was about to be run out of Congress in the House of Representatives for his missteps, aka sex trafficking of minors, and Matt Gaetz being promoted to whatever. Like, hey, let's make him the attorney general. And listen, this isn't based on the merits, and this is what. And I love it when the right show up and they watch this channel. Don't think so. You've accidentally liked and commented on things, so I know you watch it. I'm going to make this abundantly clear. It's not that somebody can't go down the rabbit hole of a mistake. We've all made mistakes. Everybody here, raise your hand. Yep, we made mistakes, right? We're not looking for perfection. We just think that there is a better choice than someone that's about to be indicted for what he's being indicted for, as opposed to for that sort of position. Yeah, Dr. Oz of the Department of Medicare, he's been on the billing end of it, right? He's got an NPR number. I mean, he's got some credentials, but that doesn't mean that you run it, right? They're putting Linda McMahon in charge of the education department that he just said he's going to demolish. So, maybe we step up into a Slim Jim and take care of the Department of Education. Oh, yeah. I mean, we're a joke. It's a joke, guys. I'm sorry. It's a joke. You take a weekend news anchor from Fox and put him in charge of the military? I'm sorry, what? Oh, and Linda McMahon was going to be indicted for her missteps. Something about some ring boys in the 80s and 90s that she would film and distribute. Come on, guys. It's like criminal pardon time. And listen, I'm all for. Have you ever owned a business or been in charge of things? Right? We can't live in fear, though, CC. Have you ever been in charge of something where you have that one employee that just needs you to be like forgiving in the moment for whatever reason, right? And they come to you and they throw yourself at the mercy of whatever court it is that you're running, and they're like, hey, here you go. And you know what, in the back of your mind you're like, listen, everybody gets a second chance. I'm cool with the second chance, but let's learn from our ways and kind of do it. What you get out of it, I've actually written papers about this, about how you actually get somebody that's a little more loyal, that's a little more whatever, but the clock is on, right? The clock is on. I recently posted, let me finish that thought. People will only go so far until they need the second time. And then you say, hey, listen, this is a trend. Great that you did well in these 3 to 6 months or whatever it is that I gave you, but you're still incompetent. There's still a level where you haven't outgrown them. Maybe this isn't the place that you do that. Maybe this is a big lesson that you take somewhere else and then you improve upon it. And I'm not looking to shame anybody, but this is our freaking country. We have a reasonable expectation to make sure that the people that we have running it aren't criminals themselves. The thing that every single military person is actually screaming from the rooftop, every agent, every CIA, every FBI, everything, right? The challenge for me, right? And I'm seeing you guys kind of laugh this out and just listing all of these things. Are you fucking kidding me? I am so done with this. You know what? Motley Crue would be a better cabinet. How do you like that? Please hold. They're going to fix my damn camera again. Oh my God. Totally shadow period, Kate. That's not me. Hold on. Can you hear me now? What a pain in the ass. You guys can hear me now? Yeah. Oh, that's about to go weird. That's about to go weird. How about to me? Just like to you all night long. You've always wanted two Brandons. Here you go, everybody. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. We'll just do the one. Thank you very much for a little bit of. We never would have gotten here without it, right? Without a little technical whatevers. So the reason why he's bringing up these buffoons, twins, like you've known it, right? The part of it and the problem of it all is that it's meant to distract you that he's completely underqualified. Like, and you can say that I'm being upset about the vote or whatever. I still go back to the thing in 2005 when he called Rosie O'Donnell a fat pig. Anybody that talks like that to another person in public isn't okay. They're just not okay. Right? So I got a message. I've gotten a couple of messages today that this is the last date. Tomorrow is actually the last. I think it's here to tomorrow. The last date to be able to object or call for a recount in certain states. And again, that's just kind of where it is. I do, however, think that we're going to find something under the surface that's like, it's not about protocol, right? It's not about being able to be like, hey, this is right, this is wrong, or this is the date, or this is the time where it goes official. There is a part of this that I know that they're playing to be like the Trump cabinet, the Trump contingency, whatever that means, is acting like an NFL team that knows they didn't get their second foot in on a completion, right? So, as I've been saying to everybody from the beginning, this is really about recognizing that we have to kind of take on personal accountability and personal severity, if you will, having our own personal agency to be able to push back on wherever it is that we feel is wrong. By the way, that's how we acted before. That's how we were before. That's how we got into this. That's why you have that certain way of life. And by the way, that doesn't mean, I sincerely think that most Trumpers, by the way, you know what the most Googled thing? There were three things Googled on election day. One of them was, did Joe Biden drop out? Or when did Joe Biden drop out? That's scary. The second thing is, what if Trump wins? And the third thing on election day is, does my vote count? We have a PR issue in this country. You know what was Googled the day after? How do I change my vote was number one. Trump policies were also Google searched. So, it's just where things are at. You know, you look at this in a social commentary. And by the way, I want to make abundantly clear, I have my ideas. I have my resistance to pain. Oh, by the way, the concepts of his plan is Project 2020, everybody. Just because he didn't say it, well, he never said it. I heard it with my own 2 ears. I literally had somebody argue with me that he said, go home, be peaceful. And I'm like, because he clouded the narrative. He didn't have a clear message. By the way, did he speak out against the Nazis that marched through Columbus, Ohio? The answer to that is a resounding no, he did not. But up in Springfield, they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs. He picks and chooses what he wants to be a part of because it pushes a narrative. Oh, they were marching in Columbus. Columbus is a great town. It's a great city. It's a great city. I'm sure that there's a lot of good people on both sides. He didn't give a shit about. He has no spine. He has no moral compass. If he doesn't like you, he's going to bury you in the 16th hole. Don't you get it yet? We're not getting into his perversions. We're not getting into his criminal history. We're getting into the person that's running the country. I made a post on Facebook about if there's ever a civil war, go to the libraries. They don't know where they are. And I also said I read banned books because I'm going to be re-releasing. Funny you should say that, with all new stories in it. It is the second edition, but there are some doozies of an add-on. And what's interesting about that is I have a stake in the game because my book has been banned. Like, literally banned. It's on a list that says, Brandon, we don't want your book here. First of all, do you even know me? Number 2, you banned it because why? Because I talked to dead people? Yeah, because I talked to dead people. Now, granted, you know, Texas and Florida, I mean, they kind of throw everything out with the bathwater, right? It's kind of a thing for them. They love that kind of dynamic, and they love to kind of let people know that they're not worthy because you don't fit into a way of life that we here like to preserve, right? But I wanted to bring out, first of all, a lot of people support libraries. Do not second guess that some of the old ways, the old things that conservatives should be fighting for are libraries, yet they're destroying them. Do you see how up is down and down is up, Saturn and Pisces? Oh, Sprout, glad to see it. Paula, yes. Melissa, yes. What? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. They want to ban Good Night Moon. And by the way, this is not on a national level. They're not trying to take a swing at my book, but it fits a classification of anything that talks about paranormal work. I picked the right time to start a publishing company, didn't I? So it's funny. A lot of people are triggered, and that's kind of the conversation. And one of them actually said, I'm not even sure I can make heads and tails of this, but I hope those banned books are books like Charlotte's Web and books by Dr. Seuss, and not books like All the Boys Aren't Blue and I Am That Jazz. Oh, wait, the last two aren't banned. I left the sexually explicit books about performing acts on children out of this. You mean like the Bible? So one of the things that we're running into here is this kind of like, what is art? Like, what is art? And by the way, I'm not praising, being gregariously whatever. Like, you've got to be able to find the right tale to tell people, even within the context of telling the story and being true to the story. But there's this thing that I just want everybody to hear me say. It's called free will. And if you're worried that your kids are walking into a school library and reading about some level of maturity level that they shouldn't read, common sense dictates that there's really good librarians out there that go, I don't think this is appropriate for anyone under the age of, say, 50. Like, there are some things. I was just at a book fair this weekend, and I love the idea of having a lot of work with things, a lot of diversity in the conversation. And I make no bones about this. I have purposely gone out of my way to work with people that are transgender because I don't get it. I was told it was wrong. So now I'm like, oh, that's wrong. Give me that. And I don't necessarily get all of their arguments. I think that we need to kind of make some rules about where bathrooms are, but that's about comfortability. That's not about, and if the solution is another stall, the solution's another stall. Like, let's not, this isn't equality for equality's sake. It's recognition. And a lot of the times it's about recognition. So me saying, hey, transgender author, I really dig you. By the way, is your book any good? We have to get back to the content of character here. We have to. That is it. There were a couple of authors at this book fair that wrote incredibly explicit books. I'll leave it at that. And by the way, just not like mature adult stuff. I'm not talking about, you know what I'm going to do tonight? I'm going to run a bubble bath. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at open up the pages of my book noir. I'm going to crack open some chocolates. Maybe have myself a little Prosecco. I'm going to enjoy this evening, and wherever Ronaldo takes me to. That's kind of a mature content. I don't want our children reading it. But hey, whatever floats your boat and your 27 cats, that's your business. Do you see what I did there? That was kind of funny. Anyways, I'm just kidding. But understand, though, that there's a place and time for all of that. There is a place and time for whatever floats your boat. The villainization of this to a point of denying access and banning it across the world is insane. If you want to ban a particular book out of a school, okay, whatever your standard is, I may think you're a fool for doing it, but to ban it and say that it can't be distributed at all is where they're going with this. It is a direct assault on our First Amendment rights. And by the way, I'm not trying to cite the catalog of amendments here because most people can't. What I am going to tell you is this is a really good time to be able to make those arguments because for whatever reason, these knuckle draggers, and I will call them knuckle draggers, didn't understand that the purpose of my post was if civil war breaks out, meet me at the library, they don't know where it is, was a knock on their intelligence because they haven't read up on history. Therefore, they'll be doomed to repeat it. Are you following me? And I've gotten a lot of criticism for, why are you stirring the pot? Cheers. No, the reason why a history book ends up on the banned list is because they want to create a new narrative. Low information voter, spot on, Kate. And listen, I don't want to sit here and think that, oh, I'm in a braggadocious stance. I don't. Because before this election, I didn't care that you didn't go to college. I didn't care that you weren't well read. I didn't care that you thought wrestling was real. I really freaking didn't. But the fact that it's been actionable to be like, yep, that's right, we're better than yous. If they won, which I will continue to say, suspect until we do the recount. But if they won, they don't even know how to win. Yeah, get your tears ready. Nope, that's not what we're upset about. You're going to cry about this. You're going to be emotionally whatever. Yeah, because you don't know what you just voted for, moron. And listen, you can tell me that I'm talking down to them, but I've read your posts. Oh, and I can also read your soul. Maybe those voters are playing a role in the universe right now. Maybe that movement, maybe this MAGA movement, is holding up a mirror. Maybe this is showing them. And by the way, let's be honest, we're all a little arrogant for being well read. There, I said it. Maybe we're a little over our skis because we're like, oh, they don't know what they're talking about. And then when we're like, yeah, well, we should probably explain it to them. No, we shouldn't. Don't waste your time. Do we treat them with the same kindness? Oops. Everybody gets a mirror in this exercise. There's nothing wrong with being well-read, and there's nothing wrong with not being well-read. What's wrong is being thoroughly convinced that whatever limited purview of knowledge you have is the only knowledge you have, is the only knowledge that exists. We got to start looking at this hard. Right or wrong, these bastards need loving. Like, I'm sorry. Just say it like that. But time and time again, we've watched our kindness be manipulated. We've watched our kindness be taken advantage of. How do we draw the line in the sand like that? You know, I posed the question about whether or not I should ever like read people that don't share my energetic value. And I had a woman come to me for a reading, and we sat down, and I said, hey, I said, how'd you find me? She said, oh, you popped up on my Facebook feed. I've had some other friends that have come to you. And I'm like, oh, I'm due for a reading and love to sit with you. Love to see what you're about. And by the way, she walked through my studio here. That's just, I got shit everywhere. It's awesome. But I'll tell you, if the band is coming over, I can get this together in 20 minutes, 25 tops with sound check. And we sat down, we started talking, and somewhere along the lines, it came up the politics of the day. And she said, you know, she goes, I've seen your YouTube channel. I'm like, oh, well, yeah, thank you. And then she's like, yeah, I don't actually agree with you. Okay. But you set up a reading. And by the way, she set up a reading after Election Day. And it made me real. And she said, that was a hell of a reading. I've gotten a lot of readings over my lifetime. That was a really great reading. And she goes, I don't agree with you politically, but she goes, I know you're a professional. Damn it. I hate it when I get found out. But it made me realize, and by the way, it was a genuine read. It was a great connection. There were certain things that went really well. And there were a couple of things that even in my own takeaway, I always kind of do a recount in my own brain with how something goes in an interaction with somebody. And I do that so I can improve, because that's what emotional intelligence does. We pay attention to it, and we build it together. Oh yeah. By the way, it's an astrologer. I am not an astronomer. Math and me, 30, 60, 90 angle. That's it. 180 for opposition. Those are the only ones. Of course I have a band. Not really a band, but it's coming. I do have I have 2 musical things that have come out of the radar this week, and I can't wait to share. It'll be fun. There's something to be said for people that can also, and listen, she was the first person, I see you, Phoenix. She was the first person to say to me, since all of this happened, right? I did vote for Trump, and I still think you're a really good medium. And I heard what you had to say, and I'm going to move beyond it. Like that's not this topic of conversation. I gave her a lot of credit. I also stayed in my lane, because I'm just like, oh. And by the way, this person was highly educated. I'll say it again. This person knew where the libraries are. And as a matter of fact, spent half of her career in one. And you know, I can't speak for her, but one of the things that I've noticed on a lot of these pages, and by the way, if you're going to put it out there on Facebook, it's a social experiment. Here we go. I'm going to put her in this category, but not, I don't want to overstate it, but I think what a lot of people voted for with Trump was the RFK angle. Because our, going through the forced vaccines, going through COVID, going through the guilt, shame crap was really traumatizing to people. And they'll serve a master they don't like if they don't have to go through that again. And if RFK is basically saying, I'm going to go ahead and expose all of that, I mean, there's a part of me that's even like, yeah, it's about time. But trying to throw out the baby with the bathwater probably isn't the best idea. Signed, Measles. This is really about execution and elocution, isn't it? Rile up the people that aren't well read and go like, they're going to eat our cats and dogs. They're going to blam, 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 and they're going to have to hit that and bird, bar. Yeah. Fight, fight, fight. Yup, that's my guy. Yeah, I just called you stupid. Because he basically preyed on the division of conversation all the way along the lines. That's what we were against. The guy that's trying to get out of 4 indictments, one of which is espionage, by the way. Let's talk about that. This isn't about, and by the way, we couldn't come to terms because your spokesperson was busy dealing with 34 felony convictions that he was avoiding and hiding classified documents and promoting election interference. Dude. Yeah, Carl, I agree. Both parties did it. The Democrats are sitting there going, oh no, he's going to do all of these things. I actually think that might have swayed some voters. The day after Election Day, how do I change my vote? What are Donald Trump's policies? Boom. So the energy of it all just makes it more difficult or opportunistic, depending upon how you look at it, right? Oh, by the way, the stock market is in its cycle right now, where we can expect the stock market is going to continue to go up until June, July, August, maybe, right? And then, true to form, like it happened in 1972, and again in previous to that, 1928 into 29, is that all of the overinflated markets, and we had an alleviation of it in 2008. By the way, the last time Pluto moved into a new sign. By the way, when Pluto moved into Capricorn, it was a large alarm bell for financial markets. It was a huge thing. In 2008 tech bubble, right? And these were alleviators that happened along the way. Well, the things that are going on with the stock market now is that you're learning about inverse inflation, where the things that you thought you had control over by, say, like Fed control, like moving interest rates, printing money, that sort of thing, are no longer going to be the narrative. And by the way, might I keep this on topic here with the medium? I want you all to look up Baba Vaga. She was in Belarus, I think, or Bulgaria. And she was someone that had lost her eyes, literally lost her eyes. She had a disease when she was about 15, and her eyes literally disintegrated, so they were kind of sewn shut, if you will. She's like one step away from an Alice in Chains song, right? And she was, yeah, let's not give Trump credit, though, Cece. This has nothing to do with Trump. This does have everything to do with why he's in place. Yeah, she was in the Balkan. Yeah, she's known as the Balkan Nostradamus. And one of the things that she talked about was how ease of communication was, that we would be holding a rock and being able to communicate with the other side of the world. By the way, everybody, Penny says hi. Talk to her today, right? Baba Vaga also talked about how inflation would be so great that it didn't matter how much money you had, wheelbarrows full of money for a loaf of bread. I'm sorry, did you want cheaper eggs? Forget about trying to grift on the political aspect of the economy, right? Well, no, think about it. You know, every single president's like, "Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, it's, their policies, their whatever." The unmitigated truth is that the Biden policies when it came to economic growth have been incredible. Now, he caught three things. He caught coming out of a pandemic, never really happened before, not like this anyways. So he had immediate job growth, right? He also had a primed economy of new creation of jobs. Like, that's kind of like everything's got an asterisk next to it, but it's positive. You can't sit there and shit talk it. You just can't. You can't say that it's bad. It's been fantastic. It's the single biggest growth in the US economy since post World War II. But wait, there's more to the energy to this. Everybody talks about oil prices. Literally, the president of Exxon came on and basically said, "We would like to announce that we are totally at capacity. And unless we get a sheer and direct investment of billions of dollars, we're not going to be able to drill more, baby drill. We are at capacity." Because the requests on the US front over the last 3 years have been astronomical, and we've been keeping up to get barrels of reserve in place for the United States. Our customers are buying. The United States has been buying. We have been booming. We cannot give you more. We have a decent amount of reserves. We're well within the rights of this. We released the reserves to keep the cost down when the Ukrainian war broke out. Now we are caught up. We are replenished. We cannot work anymore in capacity. But somehow we're going to be independent from all other resources. Guess what? We already are. Less than 10% of all of our oil and gas production comes from worldwide. We are domestically independent on oil under the Biden administration. Oops. But the truth doesn't matter. That's the point. The part that we want to be absolutely, and I'm going to put in the atrocious column, is this whole border shit. I watched a report, and I'm actually reaching out to her. She put out a very concise and a very eloquent explanation of what the actual deportation policies would go. Yeah, Sandra Lee, Baba Vaga is. I should probably do an entire special video on her. But I love this because I love the interact, right? Uranus is just about ready. The Uranus returns. That's kind of be fun, right? He's ending tax credit on electric cars. And you're like, how could you do that to your buddy Elon? Because Elon never makes money on it. People still buy it anyways. That doesn't affect him one iota. So the whole borders are thing, which, by the way, was introduced during the Biden administration because the Trump administration called Kamala Harris the border czar, and they wanted to make that the number one thing. So in 2022, the Democrats called the bluff of the Republicans and basically presented in no uncertain terms everything that they had asked for, with the contingency that the supply of money as well as the supply of judges and court supports were in place. That was really the only thing that they added on because it was actually solution based. The immigration problem in this country is not people eating cats and dogs. It is because they are not getting due process because we haven't spent money on the resources for immigration. I feel like a broken record. It is not evil people that need to be deported. It is not, and it's incredible to me that they think that they can use the military. Never in the history of ever have we ever used military on people on our soil. Never. It is constitutionally incorrect. What you need is judges to hear cases as to whether or not someone could be naturalized. But no, that's not good enough. They need to reach into the people that were naturalized. They need to reach into that. By the way, I don't know if my kids are protected or not because their mother is Dominican. They were born on U.S. soil and adopted by U.S. parents. They're coming after my kids based on this. Anybody else getting why I might be a little bit, I don't know, touchy? It all sinks in all of a sudden, right? But they villainize them. And then, by the way, the smart people, the well-read people go, have we talked to them? Now, listen, I know a Korean family that lived in the foothills of Averill Park, New York. They used to boil turtles. They would go down to the pond. They would pick them up. They were Vietnamese, I'm sorry. And they would cook those turtles. That's not my bag. That's not whatever. But to us, we're like, don't you little turtle? But to them, they're just like, this is like good eating. Never had turtle soup before? You just got spice it right, kids. I'm going to pass. It's the monkey brain. It's the monkey brain. This video, and I'm going to actually, turtle stew is absolutely delicious. Well then, Elizabeth, I didn't know you were Vietnamese. But tastes like chicken. Okay, you know what? This is the part where I'm going to believe you. So let's review that we're getting fear-mongered about people from within, the enemy within. Joe Scarborough and Minka can kiss my ass, by the way. The same way you kissed his ring. And by the way, I'm all for dialogue, but the dude has already showed you he's not about dialogue. He's about finding out your weakness. These are not the droids you're looking for. That's all he had for that meeting. So anyways, this video, I would love to pull it up here. And by the way, the border czar, his name is Thomas Holman. He was in charge of ICE beforehand. I get a lot of 1938 out of him. That's all I'm going to say. So the woman's name is that's interesting. A lot of instant regret things. A lot of instant regret videos out there, by the way. Her name is, it's on the Andrea Wynn program. And she's, she offers a free empowerment gathering called the Peaceful Warrior. I'm reaching out to her, but she is kidding me? Are you kidding me? Okay. And the amount of money that you have to, on the basis per year, the United States, because they can't just pick them up and bring them back to country of origin, because there's a lot of steps that need to be there. They need to go, yeah, I'm back again. They need to actually still go through a due process. If not, it ruins the Constitution. I know he doesn't like the Constitution, but it's still there. Yeah, me too, Nyan. Nanya. Nanya Business Google. I like that. But what would need to happen is, first of all, they would need to quote unquote round them up and then keep them in quarters. That's where the separation comes in and all this other stuff. And by the way, it's, even when you ask, like, okay, you want to do this, but can you do this humanely? The answer is resoundingly no. This is why we object to it. Because it's one thing if you want to increase an input of philosophy or a policy. It's another thing when you're a complete piece of shit about it. Tom Holdman. That is exactly where I'm going to go with this. But not only do you need to round them up and use some form of police force thing that doesn't currently exist. You can't use the military. And by the way, the FBI and the CIA, that's not their job either. ICE officials and ICE officers go after search warrants out of a court system to quote unquote round them up. So basically, in a nutshell, you're going to have all of these judges signing off on things without actually reading them, having them come in, having a competent lawyer basically argue on their behalf that there is no reason why you should extradite them. And then all of a sudden, you're wasting taxpayer dollars. The minimum dollar amount to extradite the millions of people per year. And by the way, even if you believe in his 30 million, it's closer to about 11 million. And by the way, that doesn't include naturalized citizens that are born here, that have gone through the process, etc., right? Is $1 billion. $1 billion. Let me check over there at the Doge department. See if our government efficiency is paying off there. Eliminating a threat that's actually helping the economy. You just want to be mean because you're a fucking bully. That's it. You found the weak kid and you want to pick on him. And guess what? You got all your friends to come over and do it. Hey, if you're going to hang with us, you got to have a couple of qualities, right? Hey, do you generally have a general disrespect for all things women? Yeah? Good. Let's keep talking. Hey, have you ever downgraded a minority? Right in front of them? Yeah? You have? Oh, tell me about it again. You see where I'm going with this? This is why we call him psychotic. This is why we call him a sociopath. This is why you nominate someone like Matt Gaetz, who did something illegal, but moreover is a fucking pig. He's a pig. On behalf of anybody that has skin tone or genitalia like his, he's a pig. We're celebrating pain. Look at my feed. Looks like the Trump derangement thing is real. Yeah. You voted for him. This is what we got to get up every day and fight, guys. It's our reality. And by the way, we were hoping it was going to be over. Let's be honest. We were hoping for a quick fix. It's not going to happen, apparently. Now, I do think that they're going to come out and basically say there were incredible anomalies and we really should have checked. We're going to live in regret for the end of time now. These are horrible human beings. And listen, Joe Biden did some shit. Kamala Harris might not have had all of her act together. Tim Walz made mistakes and raised his hand and said, yeah, I can't do that again. They were good people. Not great, but good. I would rather take a room full of good people that have made mistakes and made restitution, reconciliation, up to and including if you spent time in jail. But it's the ones that avoided jail time. It's the ones that skipped out. It's the ones that took the heat for the bigger fish to get away. He thinks he can get away with anything. And that's why he has a neo-Nazi in his White House. Stephen Miller is a pronounced Nazi. That's why he has a neocon being nominated for the State Department. You know what, guys? We need to start praying for retrogrades. None of this shit is right. The Mercury retrograde is going to be coming in, and I forget the actual date. It's next week, though. Mercury in retrograde gives us an opportunity to review the things of actionable things that have been communicated, things that have maybe not gone so right, not gone so wrong, but go a little bit better for us. Yeah, and it's funny. I'm not quite sure who you're referring to there, Nunya, but it's funny. Yeah, Renee, go ahead. Hit us with the question. We have a person that's selling a Bible talking about being connected. It is Monday. Yeah, Deb, thank you for the confirmation on that. You guys are also my research department. The 26th. Yep, Kate. Between the two of you, I'm taking it as a yes. So Monday into Tuesday. If the Earth was in retrograde, we'd be in trouble. Yeah, Miller. So yeah, Miller being Jewish, and it's kind of funny where it's like, how can you be Jewish and be, sycophantic to white nationalism? Well, on the other side of that, let's talk about this honestly. Trump isn't a Christian, but he touts the Bible. So hitting a tick mark is almost kind of like the, why would I do that? I'm a protected class. Why would JD Vance talk about, mixed race situations? I know he didn't, but meanwhile, he's married to somebody that's Indian. Why would he tolerate someone like, what's her name? Marjorie Taylor Greene going, oh, the White House is going to smell like curry. Like, what kind of offensive crap is that? Right? But, you take Mitch McConnell, whose wife was in Trump's cabinet, and he basically insulted the shit out of her. Like, I think he even went there. I think he went full insult to her Asian background. And Mitch McConnell, President Trump can be colorful sometimes. Oh, yeah, Ted Cruz? Is that him talking about Zach Tickle and your wife? Like, he has no moral boundaries. So he's going to attract people that have no moral boundaries because there's bigger fish to fry, but you can't get to the bottom of the well. Right? Oh, by the way, based on some of the Trumpian 2025 rules there, Melania would be deported. Don't think that's not in the back of his mind. Well, honey, you're not a citizen, really. Therefore, you couldn't enter into any of those legal bounds with me. Bye. Oh, no, you want to stay? Would you like to see the 17th green? Come on, guys. The grift is on. It's incredible how ignorant even what they say is. They don't fact check themselves. I know somebody who has a child in Barron Trump's school and saw it up close. And by the way, didn't say a single disparaging thing. Barron was a quiet kid, tough to get around for some obvious reasons, but Melania was pretty focused on him. I can't speak to her parenting skills or what she was telling him, but he was leading a pretty privileged life. He was going to one of 3 high schools that had a flight simulator that you can learn how to fly your own Cessna. If you got it, flaunt it, I guess. Barron Trump was the one in his ear telling him to go on the Rogan show, guys. You getting it yet? Cape Cod, I love you. And by the way, I still stand, those of you that have seen my video about Donald Trump leaving the country, I think I'm going to, it is getting creepier every day. Thank you for acknowledging that. Thank you for thinking that. I basically, and it was funny, it was something I saw on the chart when Penny and I were doing a show. And, oh, of course. And what I saw in the chart was he is going to leave the country. He's going to get pinned against the wall, right? He's going to be shown, that, you know what? He doesn't have a choice. He's going to be indicted. He's going to go to jail. And he escapes everything. And by the way, Merrick Garland is a co-conspirator now in my book. January 7th, he should have been indicted. It's a thing. So how do we go about our day? I mean, by the way, this is our reality, right, guys? By the way, am I getting a receding hairline? I am not getting a receding hairline. Can I kind of do this? You should probably pay attention to this after a whole bunch of things. Why did it take so long for them to charge him? Why did it take so long to go down that path? They had the fucking phone call the day after the election of him going, come on, Rathensberger, find me 26,000 votes, 260,000 votes, or whatever the hell it was. That was tampering, everybody. Open and shut case. They didn't need another piece of evidence. They played it on ABC Nightline. Well, there's a lot of complexity things here. Well, what if he gets in again? He'll kill us all. Remember in Saving Private Ryan? This is legitimately how I think everybody feels. Tom Hanks, the captain in the field, who, by the way, was supposed to be done. We all thought we were done. They come up against the German soldiers. They have the guy, they have whatever soldiers are left. That traditionally what they would do is they would take the 2 or 3 that were still alive and have them dig the graves, put them all in, shoot them, put it in, and then cover them. Spoils of war. It happened all the time, both sides. It's fucking cruel. You know what Tom Hanks' character did? He said, give me your guns and get out of here. Fast forward 48 minutes later, Saving Private Ryan. They finally got him. All they had to do is just come over one bridge. And how does he die? But by that same soldier he let go. That's how every single one of us feel right now. Every single one of us. We had him and we let him off the hook. We let him off the hook. Now he's going to come back and just shoot. We had him. You know, there's an old football thing. Dennis Green, who was a coach of the Minnesota Vikings for years, drafted Randy Moss. His ball boy was Larry Fitzgerald, if you want to go back that far. And he was he became coach of the Cardinals, and they were always a mediocre team, so game plan was a big thing. And you're right, Kate. We had him 6 ways to Sunday 17 times, and we let him off the hook. Or he slithered away, or he said, "Oh, no." And then he comes in and says, "You know what? We're going to nail everybody that's done something wrong." And then we're like, whoa. He's taking advantage of the exact thing that he was able to get away with. The exact thing. Well, punch me in the pants. That hurts a little. I think that this is a time. Do you want to know why I'm having trouble on my channel lately? Because I'm about to say something that doesn't want to be said. What if all of the undocumented immigrants organized and didn't go to work for a week? Your Holiday Inns are going to feel it. Your strawberries are going to go up. Forget about getting a good salad under $20. Have the Trump flu. Call into work. Why don't we spend our time and our resources on organizing these people? You know, the people with brains, helping out the disadvantaged people. It'll create chaos. Oh, and then, by the way, every woman call in sick to work one day. Oh, and by the way, the MAGA women that want to show up, that's fine. You can get ahead in your corporate ladder. You can get your own coffee. Right? Isn't that the MAGA world? That little sliver of madmen that gets you drunk on a little something. Hey, we're all adults here. Maybe this is an organized stance to let you know that if you're going to manipulate our votes, whether it be through collusion, whether it be through Starlink, whether it be through spreading just erroneous bullshit lies, okay. How about this? There's still more of us than there are of you. Maybe this isn't about telling people where to go and how to go. Maybe this isn't about who's in power and control, but rather where we go with things. I mean, if any one of us call in sick to work, it doesn't collapse the economy, right? How many people are arrogant enough to think at one time or another that they hold up their goldfish and they're like, who's coming with me? Right? And then we think this place is going to close as soon as I leave. Right? And then it was fine the next day. They put an ad out there, they hired somebody else, and everything was fine. I worked for a company once that this is a true story. And those of you that know my, do not say the company that I had worked for, but there was a problem guy in the office. And the guy was a little handsy, let's just say. And they weren't safe. And I remember kind of coming in as a regional person, and I basically said, the 4B movement, that's important. I'm glad that we're getting shares here of new ideas, right? I mean, yeah, people would lose it. Not that Trump is going to eat a salad anytime soon. I'm going to sit down with my new cabinet. Who wants a number one? Fucking what? Anyways, in this company that I worked for was like, there's problems. My job was to make sure that the problems never rolled up. And I kind of get it. Manage it at a local level or go from there, right? By the way, the reason why I'm putting that is I have a message circle tomorrow night online. I have 2 seats left. I've capped it. It'll just be 10 of us. We'll sit back, relax. We'll do some readings. I'll read everybody. You'll have direct access to me, have conversations, all that other good stuff. I'm going to do a few more of those things down the road. I'm also going to do, also got a podcast tomorrow. One of our newest authors, Tamani Woolley, those of you might know her locally in upstate New York, just came out with a romance novel on 10th House Publishers. So we're happy to have her. Her, Daryl, and I are going to have a great conversation. So tune in about 1:30 tomorrow. We're going to do that podcast. And we're going to talk about becoming a great writer. And we're going to talk about how to keep people's attention. And if you've read anything that she's doing, I'm not saying it should be banned, but it should be in a particular part of the library. Am I saying, am I right or am I right? Anyways, tune in for that. So this company I worked for looked at me as the regional saying, make it go away. And I went in and I talked to everybody and I said, listen, the company stance was like, this guy's still a hell of a producer. And if it's something that you can correct it. And they were very politically correct about it. They were like, if you can manage this, that would be great. And I remember sitting and talking to the person, and the person that was wronged, it was immature, not illegal. Let's just say that. And the guy was just an overall, he just come out of divorce. He was whatever your excuses are. And I eventually kind of said to him, here's the problem. You've lost the trust of the room. How do you bring that back, right? So he's like, well, I have some ideas. Well, for about 3 weeks, he actually flew right. And he was great with people. He's like, listen, thanks for understanding. I really appreciate it. And he kind of took it to heart. That, listen, what he did was just, like I said, it was immature, but it would make any female in the office uncomfortable. Again, we're not going to air dirty laundry here. But then he had kind of a setup of like, haha, you thought this is who I am, but this is who I really am, and blah, 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 blah. Well, there goes the kit and caboodle. Not only was somebody willing to press charges, but it was also kind of whatever. Well, he had also just posted some of the best numbers he'd ever done because, of course, he's focused. He's not, drawing cartoon art on the walls anymore. Are you getting where I'm going with this? This kid was the guy was 38 going on 12. And the thing that he did really kind of overstepped the bounds. And I kind of raised my hand. I said, listen, I'm not going to elevate this. I'm going to manage it at this level. Dude's got to go. And they're like, did you see his numbers? Did you see how well he did this month? And I said, I don't care. He's replaceable. Everybody's replaceable, which is part of the problem. And by the way, we're a recruiting company. We should be able to find somebody. And they were adamant. They said, he stays, tell them maybe they're the ones you need to get rid of. They literally looked at it on performance. So I politely let them know that Corpor's view was this. And I said, I don't have the authority here because even if I fired him, they would just rehire him. So I suggested to them they don't show up for a day. That's when all hell broke loose. Because not only did 7 people not show up to work, it was just him in the office. And by the way, he had to make his own coffee. And by the way, he had to answer his own phone. Then they called me and said, you got to help him. I'm not working with him. Well, you got to get some people from one of the other offices to go over and cover. They don't want to work with them either. And you're going to continue to get that because, by the way, one of the things that when we hire people, we take great pride in telling everybody how much PTO time they have and how they can take it anytime they want. Work hard, play hard. At the end of that business day, I get a phone call from 2 steps above my guy, my person. He's really that bad, huh? Yeah, you've lost the office. Well, no. You lost the office. No, I haven't. I told you exactly what was going to happen, and it happened. So do they take his 40% output or take the 60% output from the others? They looked at it as a business decision, not a moral decision. And I said, this is why you guys are going to collapse. And by the way, since I left, they had. You're making decisions based on not a moral compass, but rather a performance metric that isn't sustainable anyways. Because at the end of the day, not only do you not have somebody to perform what you need, you also don't have your ethics either. And by the way, we've all done shit. We've all done stuff. We've all done, ooh, that's not a good look. You're still worried about what St. Peter's going to bring up when you get up there. You're going to be like, did you really eat it after you picked it? Like, you're going to have things where you're like, oh. But when it gets on somebody else's shoes, and by the way, it was all true. None of it was hearsay. It was truth. It was provable truth. They have relied on the fact that you can't get to the bottom of anything because guess what? There's another headline tomorrow. We're going to have Mehmet Oz in charge of all things Medicare, Medicaid. That's okay. We're going to destroy it anyways. It's not about caring about people. It's about getting money in the bank. I had a friend of mine send a picture of a headline. Hulk Hogan is filing papers to become Matt Gaetz' replacement. Idiocracy, man. This is idiocracy. All right, so the bad news is I can't get the other camera to work, so it's going to be tough to do any readings. I'm a little out of gas anyways. I'm going to do more shuffle up and heels. Don't worry. I'll figure out all this technical stuff. But I want to come to you and tell you not to give up. Re-strategize this. You're smart. You're intelligent. You're funny. Most of you are good looking. I'm having fun. But we have to start to use our brains differently because we were believing in a system that, by the way, the age of Pisces is ending. Our codependency on the law and things going the right way. We don't have that luxury anymore. We don't live in that. And by the way, this isn't about, this isn't about looking like somebody's making a Skippy. I was eating Skippy peanut butter earlier. We have to get smart about this. And by the way, there's always a reason to be kind. But we're learning the fine art of becoming kind with boundaries. Maybe that's the lesson. Maybe it's I had somebody also on that post, kind of do the shit shaming thing, right? And I remembered when I helped her when her mom died. We were in a band together years ago. Her mom passed away. I reached out to her. I said, hey, let's have a 10-minute conversation. Let's see what happens. You're going to freak me out. I'm not going to freak you out. Here you go. And I give it to her, right? Yeah, Renee, we're all tired of the lessons. I'm not saying we're not tired. I'm just saying we're just getting going. So what do you do when you're tired? What do you do when you're ready to kind of bail out? What are you doing with that? You start to educate the next level of people that are going to take over your job, your role. We've got a tremendous amount of wisdom, and we can't let it go by the wayside. Seriously. The reason why I come on here and tell these stories is so someone else says, hey, I know this guy. I used to watch him. I get it. By the way, one of you just got a ticket. There's one ticket left for tomorrow night. Message circle. By the way, everybody gets a message from a loved one and go from there. But the whole premise of this is we can't let things go. We can't quit. I am Lilith. I am Lilith. We see your skullduggery. We see what you're trying to do. And we're not going to be used. We're not going to be used for something that's nefarious. We're not going to be used for something that doesn't work for us. We're going to literally look you in the eye and say, good luck with that. You know what? All the people that came from another place that aren't here supposed to be, they're going back. Good luck with that. You know what? We know what you should be doing with your ovaries. Not you shouldn't. You're too done. You don't know whatever. We're just gonna have somebody in charge of that, so then you don't have to think anymore. Good luck with that. Hard taps, guys. Thank you guys for joining me. Spiritual pep talk. I love that, Rita. You're in charge now. I want to tell you guys, thank you so much. Thanks for making this channel blow up. Get it out to your friends. Share with somebody that you think is open-minded to at least hearing the conversation about things. We are going to start to have to call out the spiritual yahoos in this too, because there seems to be some dingleberries about that stuff. But let's be real about this. Hard taps, guys. And remember, keep going.